Hello everyone, Mrs. West here with this week's lesson. Today we are going to do the next part of our optical illusion project. You should have your small piece of rectangular paper with the diagonal stripes on one side and the vertical stripes on the other. I did 2 of them here because I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this project. Here is a sample of what the finished project can look like. Okay, here's one. Now the optical illusion of this project is that you know that these lines are straight diagonals when you created them, but when you manipulate the little strips of paper, it looks like there's a swirl, and that looks pretty cool, I think. That's the first way to do this project. This is a second way we can do this project, and here's the swirl here. Now the swirl is not quite as easy to see in this one as it is with the more steps. This one has all 24 strips. This one has 12. Now, this is a time-consuming project, and at the end I'm going to ask you to make a decision whether or not you want to do the 12 double strips or the 24 thinner strips. So, we're going to start with the double strip one. Okay, well, let's turn this over. Okay, so I want you to take your rectangular piece of paper. The other supplies you will need today are scissors and glue. And I want you to turn it over, and I want you to cut it in half. That is in between the 12 and the 13. Now, you may not be the greatest cutter in the world. Maybe somebody in your house is. If they want to help you with the cutting, I have no problem with that. Okay, so I have cut my rectangle in half. The 2 sides are pretty even. Now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to put it to the side because that piece I'm going to use next week. Okay, this week we'll use this one. Now I want you to cut every other line on this. Let me show you. I want this one to be 2 strips wide, so I'm going to skip one line and do the next. Okay. As you can see, this does take some time. I'm going to try to be a little quicker with it, so I'm sure I won't have perfectly straight lines, but I want to show this to you. Okay. Last one. Gone a little bit off the path there. Okay, I'm going to line these up on the side here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I'm going to take out a piece of scrap paper that I have here just for gluing so that I don't get glue all over the place. I'm going to take this number 11, 12. I'm going to put it down like this so that the numbers are at the bottom. And I want to glue this in the middle of this black piece of paper. Now, let's say, that looks pretty much in the middle. So, here we go, my numbers. I am putting glue on it. You really have to use stick glue for this one. Liquid glue will just make a big mess because our paper is pretty thin. Okay, I'm all glued up. There are my numbers, 11 and 12, at the bottom. And I'm going to stick it somewhere near the middle. I'm not going to fret too much. Okay, there's our start. Now, I'm going to pick up number 9, 10, and I'm going to put some glue on it. Now, I don't want to be stingy with my glue. I'm going to put plenty of glue on this because I might have to move it around a little bit. And it's easier to move something around with glue if it's not dry yet. So, I am going to take this piece, there at my numbers 9 and 10, I'm going to place it overlapping this one a little bit and turning. Okay, now I'm going to say to myself, I want like a thumb in between each one. So I'm going to try to make them even, but I'm not going to worry if they're not. Okay, so here we have 2 pieces. We can already see a bit of the turn. I am up to 7 and 8. Glue. The 7 and 8 are at the bottom. I'm going to position it over that one, turning slightly. Let's see, that looks pretty much the same amount of distance. Yeah, okay. And I can see that my swirl is already starting to fine. Now, I almost picked up the wrong one. If I had picked up the 3 and 4 instead of the 5 and 6, I would have had a little bit of a jump. It wouldn't have looked like a curve. I don't want to show you that mistake. Well, maybe I will. I'll show you what would happen if I made that mistake on the next one. Okay, so I've got glue on my 5 and 6, making sure my 5 and 6 are at the bottom. Putting it on here, turning it a little bit, using my eyes to say, is that the same amount apart? Pretty much. Get that fat thumb in there. Cool. 4. Now, if I, by mistake, picked up 1 and 2 instead of 3 and 4, it wouldn't match up quite as good. See how this blue is going over here and the green is nicely curving? This is kind of a jump here. So that would be your first hint if you were going the wrong way. So, 3 and 4 is next. My 3 and 4 is on the bottom. I am going to place this like so. Now don't worry here if your paper goes off like that. We're going to trim it in the end. My thumb. And I'm going to do the last one for this side. Okay, my 1 and 2 is at the bottom. I'm overlapping. See, it looks kind of like a fan that you open and close, that kind of fan that you fan yourself off with in the summer. Okay, now I am starting to see that curve. How about you? Okay, at this point, I'm going to stop. If you're doing the double one, you're going to stop because we're going to do the other half next time. So, let me give you a shortened version of this lesson with the 24. Now, I'm just going to flip this paper over and use the other side just because it's easier. Now, I have actually already cut up my pieces, but as I said before, I want you to cut this paper in half first if you are doing the 24 strip one. Takes a little more time. It's a lot more handling of materials, but I think it looks good. If you want to do that one, that's great. So you would cut your paper in half, put aside the one that is 13 to 24 for next week, and then you would cut each strip. I'm not going to do that right this second. I have already cut up my strips, And I sure hope they're the right numbers. Nope, that says 13. That's my second bundle. Here we go. Let me make sure I've got it headed the right way. Yes, I do. My numbers are on the bottom, and that matches up. Okay, very good. So, I put my little strips in order after I cut them. One is on the bottom, and then it goes all the way up to 11. Okay, so here's my pile of strips. Put them to the side. Now, I'm going to start gluing. Okay, strip number 11, because this is number 12. I'm going to lay it on top. I'm going to leave less space in between because these are smaller strips. Okay, so this time, maybe it's my ring finger. That's the one. Okay, that was number 11. I'm going to pick up number 10. I am not going to do all 12 of them today because that will take me a little too long. But I just want to show you how this ends up. Remember, we're overlapping the bottom a little bit and pushing it to the side at the top. And already we can see that curve forming. I'll do one more and then I'll let you go on your own. Okay, this last one I'm going to do today is number 9. You, if you are doing the 24 strips at home, are going to go all the way to number 1. Here's my number 9. I'm going to tilt it and overlap it, put it down, wipe it. Okay, if you are doing the 24 strip 1, you will be working from 12 down to 1. Make sure you keep your stack in order so that it will start to look like this half. Okay, it will go off the paper at the bottom. Don't worry about that. Okay, so you have a decision to make now. Do you want to do the one with the width of 2 stripes? And then you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 strips. Or do you want to cut every single line on the back, every single line here, and make it a 24? Okay, that is up to you. So I think this project is going to turn out to be really nice. And this is actually the first time I'm doing this project, so I'm anxious to see how it turns out. Okay, so get those scissors, that glue, and that paper. I used black construction paper. That's another thing you're going to need. It doesn't have to be black. It can be white. I haven't done one on white, so I don't know how it looks. But as always, I have construction paper in the mini theater at school. Okay, so like I said, we're stopping halfway with this project because it does get a little complex. Well, it's not hard, but it takes a lot of explaining, and I want to save that for next week. Okay, so get busy. Ta-ta for now.